Some people learn their lessons the hard way, some lessons come swiftly like a lightning bolt, exposing the truth in ways no one can ignore. For one arrogant and racist bank manager, today was going to be one of those days, and you will see that he definitely got what he deserved in the end. Elijah Carter had worked hard his entire life. Growing up in a rough neighborhood, he watched his mother struggle to make ends meet. It seemed like he was destined to fail, but Elijah believed that he was the one who got to decide his destiny. He made a promise to himself at a young age: he would not only succeed but would uplift others along the way. And succeed he did. Over the years, Elijah built a real estate empire worth millions. But unlike many, he didn't flaunt his wealth with unnecessary extravagance. Instead, he invested, made smart business decisions, and stayed humble. He faced prejudice along the way, getting used to people doubting him because of his background and the color of his skin. Today, however, he was about to witness firsthand that despite all his success, some people would still judge him, regardless of the fact that he was the one who uplifted them. It was a breezy Tuesday morning, and Carter Financial Bank was beginning its daily operations. Tellers counted cash, customers filled out deposit slips, and the scent of fresh brewed coffee wafted through the air. The bank's manager, Richard Manning, stood near the main desk, chatting with a well-dressed elderly customer when Elijah walked in. Dressed in a simple navy suit with no flashy jewelry, Elijah entered the bank with confidence. He had business to handle, a large transaction that required his attention. However, the moment he approached the service counter, he felt the eyes of the bank employees on him. Some of them exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable, but one thing was clear: they had already made assumptions. Elijah reached the front desk, where a teller, Samantha, a woman with platinum blonde hair and a forced smile, greeted him. "Good morning, how can I help you?" she asked, her voice polite but distant. "I need to transfer a substantial amount between accounts and make a withdrawal," Elijah stated, handing over his ID and bank details, hoping that when she saw his full name, all of this uncomfortable staring would go away faster. Samantha barely glanced at his documents before her smile faded. "One moment, sir," she said, walking toward Richard Manning, the bank manager. She leaned in and whispered something. Manning, a tall middle-aged man with graying hair and a sharp suit, frowned and made his way over. "Is there a problem?" Elijah asked calmly. Manning eyed Elijah up and down before speaking. "Sir, I need to ask, do you actually have an account with us?" Elijah raised an eyebrow. "I do. That's why I'm here. It's just, we need to verify these kinds of requests carefully. Large transactions require extra attention," Manning said, his tone laced with condescension. "And does everyone get this level of scrutiny, or just me?" Elijah asked, keeping his composure. Manning sighed, as if Elijah was being difficult. "Sir, I have to follow protocol. We can't just approve large transfers for anyone who walks in." Elijah smirked. "Is that so?" Manning nodded. "I'm afraid I'll need more proof of ownership before proceeding." By now, a few customers and bank employees were starting to notice the tension at the counter. Elijah remained calm, but inside he was growing frustrated. He had been banking here for years, had millions invested in this very institution, and yet he was still being treated like an imposter. "I think you'll want to verify something else first," Elijah said. Reaching into his briefcase, he pulled out a folder, placing it on the counter in front of Manning. "What's this?" Manning asked, confused. Elijah flipped open the folder, revealing official documents. "It's the paperwork proving I own a majority stake in Carter Financial Bank. That means I'm not just a customer, I'm your boss." A stunned silence swept through the room. Samantha's eyes widened. Manning's face turned ghostly pale, and whispers began circulating among the tellers and customers. "You own the bank?" Manning stammered, his bravado crumbling. Elijah nodded. "That's right. I bought controlling interest in this bank over a year ago. So let me ask again, does everyone get this level of scrutiny, or just people who look like me?" Manning opened and closed his mouth like a fish out of water. Samantha looked away, embarrassed. The security guard who had been watching the exchange lowered his posture, suddenly unsure of what to do. He knew that what Manning and Samantha were doing was wrong, but even he was surprised to see such swift karma. Elijah continued, his tone now carrying the weight of authority. I built my empire on fairness, integrity, and giving people opportunities. What I just experienced here today tells me that this bank's values don't align with mine. That is going to change. Manning swallowed hard. Mr. Carter, I had no idea. If you did, that much is obvious, Elijah replied coldly. And it makes me wonder how many other customers you've treated this way. Since, as you were about to say, if you did, you would have acted all nice, but the fact is that your heart is filled with hate for some reason. The room remained silent, all eyes on Elijah. He turned to the gathered employees. Going forward, we will be reviewing all customer service practices. There will be diversity and inclusion training, and hiring policies will be adjusted to ensure fair representation. He then turned back to Manning. And as for you, consider this your last day here. Your biases have no place in an institution I own. Manning's face flushed red. He opened his mouth to protest but quickly realized there was no point. Security was already moving toward him, prepared to escort him out. Elijah glanced at Samantha. You might want to rethink how you interact with customers as well. I expect my employees to treat everyone with respect. Samantha nodded meekly, her previous arrogance replaced with shame. Elijah took a deep breath and looked around. The weight of the moment settled over everyone in the room. Then he smiled slightly. This bank will be better. That's my promise. With that, he turned and walked toward the exit, his head held high. Customers clapped softly, some nodding in approval. He had come in as just another customer, but he left as a leader who stood against prejudice. And in that moment, everyone understood one undeniable truth: racism doesn't just suck, it has consequences. In the following weeks, Elijah implemented sweeping changes at Carter Financial Bank. He installed policies ensuring fair treatment of all customers, introduced extensive training programs, and personally reviewed hiring practices. The story made national headlines, sparking conversations about implicit bias and accountability in financial institutions. For Elijah, it wasn't just about running a successful bank, it was about creating a place where everyone, regardless of their background, was treated with the respect they deserved. He expanded outreach programs, ensuring minority entrepreneurs had access to capital. He made personal visits to bank branches, overseeing staff and reinforcing an inclusive culture. Slowly but surely, Carter Financial Bank became known as a beacon of fairness in the industry. His message was clear: prejudice has no place in his world, and he would make sure the world knew it. As the months passed, customers flocked to Carter Financial Bank, drawn in by its reputation for fairness. Employees who had once been hesitant embraced the new culture, and Elijah's leadership proved that true change was possible. His mission was no longer just about money. It was about justice. Would you forgive Samantha if you were in Elijah's shoes? Or would you tell her to join Mr. Manning? Let us know in the comments below.